This is consider yourself in the public meeting for the express purpose of what was advertised. But before we start, I would like to go ahead and have a pledge of allegiance, and I'm going to ask Alderman Gardner, who's here, to lead us in a prayer after that. So for being here, I would like to set the table for our meeting tonight. Of course, to keep from avoiding open meetings law, we have 3 aldermen here who would normally constitute a quorum. However, this is going to be a very informal thing. There will not be any action taken today or tonight. This is strictly a discussion, and they can certainly participate as residents and have all the, discussion and make recommendations just like you can, and it's rightfully so. And we do have John Betts here with us in the back, Sabrina Dore, and Robert Garner's here. So they're here tonight and to hear some of the things you would like to have. But also, you're here tonight because this year, at our last regular council meeting, we awarded the establishment of paying back a royalty to our residential and commercial retail customers in an amount that was fully allowable by ordinance that we have, which is ordinance number 588. And that amount was just under $800,000. It was, to be honest, it was $795,000 that will be going back to our customers in a check that we've already started working on. Doing the formulas for that for those people to get those sooner than later. So that's a good thing. The ordinance also calls for that we can take that other half that of the overage, and we can, with public input, have 2 public meetings. The next one's going to be next Tuesday, same time. And people can, hey, look, I'd like to see this in Vidalia. I'd like to see this, and I'd like to see us do that. So, and that's what it's here for tonight. It's a good meeting to have. We're going. Jay is here. He's going to be taking notes and writing down, or somebody is, some of the suggestions. And what I would like to do after the 2 meetings, we will put those together, formulate something, and put something together for council and also staff to look at, and also maybe bring back to you again, and maybe make it fun. Maybe have a vote on it, what you'd like to see, and some of those things of that. So, has anybody got any questions before we get into it and get started? Because, and I get to start first. I'm going first. And one of the things that I would like to do is do something that is, we'll call it a project, and you could call it a capital project, but it's going to benefit everybody who uses our utility system. And what I would like to see us do, over here on this screen, you can see how bad I shake when I try to use a pointer. I shake really bad. So I guess that's when you get old, that sort of thing. Look at this column here, unit number 1. That is our LEPA number 1. That's an agreement that we're in. There's nothing we can do about it. But that, when we got in office, those amounts you see there were added to our power cost. And that is the note and the operating expenses of LEPA unit number 1 that became a liability for our town that we've had to absorb, and we've had to honestly put into it goes into your electricity bill. So it averages right at over $85,000 a month, that bill does. And it has caused some hardship, although I will be glad to say that we still believe, I believe that, and Terrence verified this for me today, that any other competitor around here as far as a power company, we're still way below them. He's figured one of his bills, and it was 13.5 cents for his business out there on the highway, and that's an industrial business. But here it would have been considerably less, and we're glad that we can do that because we offer a lot more than just power in that. We have police protection in that, we have fire protection, and those sort of things in there, recreation, that all comes out of that, and so we're glad that we can get those things down like that. But what I would like to recommend, and this is, and the board and council would have things, but one of the things I would like to write down and do is, everybody knows that when we hit summertime, we hit a heavy usage where people's utility bills go up. Not necessarily the rate. Actually, the rate probably comes down. It's just that the usage is high and everybody's bill gets kind of out of whack. And everybody, they're fussing no matter how good the rate is, the usage is up, so their bill's more. What I would like to propose is for those months, June, July, August, and September, which are the hottest, is take whatever the average LEPA bill is for those months and take that completely out of the power cost. And basically what that does would give all residents extra royalty payment through the summer months when they need it on a monthly basis. I did a little analysis on my bill, and just the electricity, it saved me anywhere from $30 to $45 a month on doing that if we did that. Some people might want to do the whole thing, and that's okay. That's up to the people to decide. But there's other things that you're going to have that you want to do that you would like to see done. Another thing, Bobby, that's just one thing. I'm just throwing that out there, no discussion. I'm just bringing that up. But one other thing that I've showed some people is our welcome signs are in bad need of repair. Now that is something similar to what I would like to see us do coming into Vidalia by the high school. But that is not a Viking. That is a prince that killed Vikings, actually, in history. But I do like the fact that he's holding up his sword in the form of a cross, and something like that, a 10-foot to 15-foot statue that would maybe reestablish some pride in our schools and our town, that I would like to see something like that. Welcome to Vidalia, home of the mighty Vikings, something of that nature. And then on the other end of town, do something more traditional that fits Vidalia, maybe be really something we're proud of there. And this is just an idea now. This isn't something we're going to do. That's just, I want to give you an idea of what I would like to see, and that's my idea. And y'all gonna get to the yours in a minute. One of the other things I like to see us do, you can take that down, Bobby, if you like. One of the things that I want to see us do, and I've talked to some members, coaches, and teachers at the high school, that street between the high school and the football field is deplorable. It is horrible. It's not the city street. There's potholes so big around and deep that it's embarrassing to go to the football game and see that. Whatever we have to do to help share in that, if they won't fix it, when we're getting our streets fixed that we've got, and they're being in the process of being bid out, Hammett's putting together the bids, that we maybe include that and do some kind of cooperative endeavor with the school board. If they're not going to take the responsibility, us work with them. Let's fix that street, because that is going to be one of the heaviest used streets in the next several months. And I would like to see us do something like that. So other than that, the only thing I would like us to keep in mind as we go forward is the city, our main mission is to provide you the services that we provide you: electricity, gas, sewer, water, sanitation, and those things, and streets to drive on. That is our primary purpose. If we've got anything that's lacking in those departments, we want to take care of those first before we do the fun things, I feel like. But having said that, I just want to keep in mind that. And I've been talking to department heads about some needs we might have. And I'll just leave that alone. We're not going to go into that right now. But we would like to hear from you. That's just some similar ideas. You might have something you want to say. I know a lot of things are going to come up. But what I'd like to do is just have somebody raise their hand, and we're going to let you talk. We have microphones. We can bring one to you. AJ here has got a microphone. Or you can come to the front, turn that around, and address the crowd if you have some things you'd like to see. So, show of hands.
I just have a quick question.
Okay.
Can you tell the people how much money we have in the town share that could possibly be allocated?
Yes. Our second year in office, we did pay a rebate, and that rebate was $600,000 and some change, north of $600,000. So $600,000 actually went into the part of the Vidalia that we haven't spent yet. However, there's a section in the ordinance that if you don't have a project, that monies can be available for any kind of non-utility funds if you have a shortage in a fund. And y'all know there was no money left when we got in office. There was no money, and we have turned this thing around. We are sitting on some really good deposits now. We're really excited about that. We have the money to fix things, and we're going to do that. So this has been something that's exciting for us as a whole town, so we can get behind and try to fix these things that we need. But to answer Sabrina's question, out of that 600, we used just under 300-something thousand into some funds to pay bills and things of that nature. So it leaves a little over 300,000, and with the nearly 800, so you're looking at over $1 million available for a project. So, okay, back here.
Those projects going to be done for the streets in the day, or you use something else?
Do what now?
That money is up there for annuity, they're going to use that 800 or 600,000 to help you do the streets there?
We have got monies allocated right now in the budget to fix the streets. That will not be involved in the project. The only street I threw out there was the high school, strictly because of it's not a city street, and I was wanting us to do something that would really be a big help.
Say it again, please.
I got that on silent. I don't know what I did. Must hit a button. Sorry about that, y'all. I apologize. But no, our streets, we have budgeted, this budget has over $1 million, 1.2 million to do street repairs, overlays. We're going to start on those that are damaged by our seepage water first. It's going to be completely overlaid. And those areas, Linden, Riverside, Wilson will be completely overlaid, and they will be sufficient. We'll make sure those are engineered to where they can withstand any kind of something like that in the future. And also parts of Concordia around the school.
Will they be wide? Will it be wide?
Yes, we'll look at doing that if we can. You know.
I mean, I don't want them wide because that's, we went through this a year and a half ago, and you know why.
I know, yeah.
Because I don't want the 18-wheelers. They're so.
Okay.
They're heavy. It's like, I don't know.
Well, we'll certainly, this time we will fix the streets to handle any kind of commercial load for sure. Do you have another question?
I heard this is the street you called. I heard nothing about Clinton Street down on the other end, down they call Bucktown, which is District 3. I heard you say fixing it down, anything down there. John Dale Drive is tore up.
John Dale Drive will be resurfaced all the way from the fire station all the way to the levee. That's on the list. No, there's a list of streets. I mean, Lee and I have gone over it, and also before our somebody we miss dearly, Mr. Guy Murray, he and me and Lee rode around and looked at the streets that either needed overlaying or patching. So, and we feel like that we've got sufficient monies in the budget to fix those. So, but yes, there's several. Walnut's one of them. Davis Street is one of them. Also, the street that goes through that's not all the way paved, going by the church there, running to, that's not ever been paved, but our trucks going through there, garbage trucks, has completely tore that parking lot up for that church. I'm going to pave that all the way through there because our trucks basically decimated their parking lot. And so we'll make that a throughway through there. And I'm going to get clearance on that before we get it approved, but that needs to be fixed.
Who's the civil engineer on that?
Pardon?
Who's the civil engineer on that?
It's going to be Brian Hammond Associates.
I'll go.
Okay?
I would like to see, you want me to turn this way, you said? Okay. I'd like to see the town install some playground equipment. We have several areas in town that we already own the land. And so what I'd like to see is us put in pavilions that we can use for birthday parties, family reunions, family picnics, whatever the case may be, and also have playground equipment put for our children to use. I have kind of been looking into that a little bit, and all of the ones that I'm looking at are accessible by both the disabled and of all age groups. I mean, they range from 2-year-old all the way up. I'd also like to see the town where we have the fountain now that's being used as a splash pad, perhaps pull that concrete up and make that an official splash pad, because if you go out in the summer, you see children utilizing that constantly. And as the mechanics are already there to make it a splash pad. We've already got the motors, we've already got everything we need, and we could add that protective ground cover and expand it a little bit and add some down sprinkles and perhaps some of those little water shooter guns. And I think the kids in town would absolutely love that. And all that would really take is pulling up the concrete, which it's a fountain. It's not supposed to be used as a splash pad, but everybody does it. So let's make it safe if they're going to do it. Those are some of the things that I would like for us to see. I know that in the past, when the town got approval to build those areas, the riverfront, Polk Park, and all of these various places, in each one of those, there was a playground area that was scheduled to go there. And they just never came to fruition. And I think with this bumper crop of Hydro Royalty, I think now's the time to finally make good on the promises of the past.
Okay. That's a good one.
Did you talk about putting the playground out there by Mr. Park?
Well, there's several, a lot of people have, varying opinions on where it should be. I am of the, and I'm just one opinion, but I'm of the opinion that it needs to be on land that the town already owns, whether it is at the riverfront or Polk Park or some that we need to purchase additional land for this. And I don't want, me personally, in one opinion, I don't want to get into a cooperative endeavor with another entity, because then you have the problem of shared responsibility for maintenance and upkeep, and can we tell them whether or not they can put a fence around it, and all of those things. If it's land that the town owns, we have ultimate control over, you know, the hours, when you can be there, when you can't, and things like that. But I think that if, you know, if the townspeople agree that we want a playground, I'd like to kind of do what, the administration in the past did, was hold charrettes with people who are interested, a meeting of the minds, and let's talk about what we want, you know.
Because I think it would be good to hold it, you know, put something like that out there on the wall.
And that is,
Because it already has the fence already there, it's got the
Shade.
facility already there, it's got shade trees. It's, you know, true that it needs to be, you know, upgraded, the bathrooms, everything's already there. You know, that's a good place to put it.
and I agree with that. The only issue with that area that I have found is that that is not town of Adel property.
It's rec board.
It's rec board
So-
property.
What about the riverfront? That's its own separate entity, isn't it? Its own thing with its own board.
The ground is on, I checked on Concordia Parish Geo Portals today. The ground is owned by the town of Adel.
Where would we put it?
There are several locations, that, of ground that the town owns. You know, the River Park Medical Center owns the area where the gazebo is. Sorry, that's my memory back there. They own that little spot, so that's not an area that can be done. Right beside the parking lot of River Park Medical, which is a pretty good square of grassland, that's owned by River Park Medical, so it can't go there. So it would take some project planning, looking to see where could it possibly go. And again, you've got all this space at Polk Park that's available as well.
Say per se that it is put out there at the river park. And then say, we sold this, we're gonna have to move it. Just like, you know.
Well, we wouldn't sell it if we had equipment on it.
That's what people say.
What do you mean, that's what people say?
I mean, that's just what people say. People say a lot. I think you have to use the river a lot.
What kind of, I mean, I think it's a great idea, actually, I do. I just think that, you know, where are we at as far as the legality part of it? For example, if a child gets hurt. And another thing too, is we don't want it to be one of these things where people just come drop their kids off. They're not staying to observe the children or to watch the children. They're using it kind of like as a, for
daycare.
lack of another word, a daycare,
Right.
you know, and we don't want it to turn into something like that. So if they were to get hurt, who is gonna be responsible?
City of a day.
The town of Vidalia would be much like
Town
they
of
would
Vidalia.
be responsible if they were hurt at the fountain as it is now, or at this pond over here fishing. I mean, anywhere that the town owns land, if somebody is injured, the town's insurance is responsible.
Would there be any way that we had waivers for them to sign before they could drop, you know, let the kids go?
You wouldn't be able to police that, Mark. That would be a,
You know, one of the things that I thought was a good thing about the riverfront, I mean, I am, again, one opinion, I like the riverfront location.
I do too,
I just
because
did.
you've got tourists that come in, and that would
Yeah.
be something more
Right.
for them.
But you do have security there, you have, camera surveillance there, you know, we have a river park, we have a riverfront security officer who's there. You do have the cameras. And one of the things that, you know, a lot of people don't really like about it, but that I do, is it's not sunken in the middle of a certain neighborhood. It's accessible by a lot of neighborhoods that can just go over the levee and play. When you build a park in a certain neighborhood, some of the neighbors around there that I spoke with said that they would be concerned about the loitering and the walking to their neighborhood. You know, the river park already has hours of certain times, I think it's 10 to 5 a.m. that it's already closed down, you can't be there. You know, we already have all those things. majority of people say, fantastic, put a slide in the ground. I do not know the answer to that.
But it's fair slide.
Mhm.
They got the Monroe, Freeport, you know, and they go over great with people.
They do.
I would like to just make a comment. Now, I am completely for a playground. For, you know, somewhere a mother can, this local mother or somebody passing through needs a little break to, you know, let their kids have some exercise. What I'm not for, you know, y'all seen the thing on Gina, which that kind of brought it up. People started saying, why can't Vidalia have this? Of course, that was done with a lot of private donations. But this isn't a playground. This is an attraction. And I don't want to have such a big deal that we're having buses come in from communities, bringing a church groups from out of town in to, you know, when our residents who are paying for it and want to go play on it, there's groups of kids there and they're going like, I ain't going to fight all this stuff. I'm not going to do it. So I'm just saying I would like to see us, the splash pad's great because, you know, somebody's not going to travel, you know, 40 miles just to come play on that little splash pad, which is great. I like that. And a playground similar to what we've got over there and a more accessible spot. Plus, get with the rec board and whatever fencing we need to spend money on to make that accessible 24/7. You know, and just, you know, redo the fences to where you can access that park up here. So that's just a thought, another thing to think about. So, Ken, go ahead.
Expanding on this idea here, you know, it's wonderful to include children. We need recreational facilities for them. In addition, right down here to the west, we have plenty of property. We could put areas where we could have picnics, pavilions. And one more thing for us old people is a walking path. Go to Winsboro, and just before you get into the city, you'll see they have a walking path, and it's busy in the evenings, all evening long. And that would be an attraction. You know, we have one of the best ball facilities in the state. And people come in here and they have nothing to do in between their ball games. They could picnic, they could walk, exercise. We've got a pond down there for them to fish and enjoy. And just expanding on that, I think it's a wonderful idea, but just to go a little further, I think that would be a good idea too.
Okay, good deal.
That is a good idea.
Destiny?
So I love the idea of a park, and especially a park that is accessible to special needs kids. I am a proponent for it to be at the old ball fields. I think in Vidalia, it's a pretty small town, we could probably work that out if we really wanted to. It increases property values. It makes people come into Vidalia. When you have people that come in and they're coming straight to the Riverwalk, they're not seeing all the things that Vidalia has to offer. They're not seeing the beautiful neighborhoods we have around the ball fields. In addition, since we are talking about making it accessible, the Riverwalk presents some problems because of how uneven it is. I'm not sure how many of you guys know this, but I have a brother with spina bifida. He's been wheelchair bound my whole life, so you know, special needs is very dear to my heart, and I know firsthand, you know, what could work and what might not work. In addition, the ball fields do have a lot of shade. On the Riverwalk, you have a lot of traffic, and you have 2 hotels. You have a lot of strangers, and not only that, you're going to be asking kids to cross in front of Riverside, which you've now made an 18-wheeler route. So kids who want to ride their bike to the park now have to cross in front of 18-wheelers, cross the levee, go to this playground, and then it's going to be closed if it's flooded. We have the risk of alligators. It's just a lot of problems. And then the same thing over here with Polk Park. I don't necessarily mind, you know, thinking of having a park over here, but if you're having it by the pond, and people that are playing, you know, ball are trying to let their kids go, you have these buildings that are separating, and you have this pond, it's got mosquitoes, you're right by a highway, you know, and you have the risk of, especially if you're having accessible playground and you're encouraging special needs, if you don't know the statistics, if autistic children, autistic children who die before 5 years old die of drowning. That's a very real statistic that we have to, you know, we have to think about the water. I think anywhere you go, you're going to have a fence.
Well, tonight, we want to establish that that's what they want, and then that'll be worked out with a lot of discussion. So those are good points, but, I mean, I think everybody, it sounds like, would like to see something pursued in that. And that's on the list, and we'll certainly visit more about, you know, the level, the size, and location, and who's going to do what, and how, and what all is going to be there, and sort of those sort of things. Again, we're compiling a list, and we'll make those available to you on our website and everything else, and we'll talk some more, you know, as we have these meetings and see just what a lot of the ideas are. Ricky, you, okay, me too. Ricky?
Yeah, I too would have, parks and recreation on my list too. That's a big plus for any, municipality to have good recreation. And right now, we have, one of the best ball fields in the state here. I think there's even a playground here. And, another great asset we have is our riverfront. But what I'd like to see is a way to connect the two where you can access them on a walking trail, a running trail, a bicycle trail. And, that would take a little undertaking, I realize, because we'd have to cross a major highway, we'd have to cross a levee. But, it could be done. I would think it wouldn't take much, money to get us halfway there. If we were to cross the levee at the RV park entrance, get on the old railroad bed, which is already compacted, good, foundation, to lay some blacktop, some asphalt, and come on, it'll get you all the way here to right behind Concordia Lumber and get you to the highway. Then there sets a little bit of a dilemma, how do you cross the highway? Well, in Covington and Mandeville, they've done this. They have a 23-mile walking bicycle trail that goes from Covington and Mandeville to Feeder Springs. It's really top rate. And they actually have gone underneath the major highway. I'm talking about a 4-lane, similar to what we're doing here. You see overpasses all the time, that's another possibility. But if we could go under the highway, we'd probably have to have some
Our water situation, I don't think would,
Well,
I think we would really.
Covington's at a lower elevation than we are, and they're right there at Lake Pontchartrain. I don't know what they did to get around that, but I know there would have to be some kind of drainage and pumps and.
They don't
I
have
don't think
hot
kids
springs
can
that
ride
we
their
have.
bikes.
We have actual
Huh?
water springs.
I don't think kids can ride their bikes on the Riverwalk, so having a trail that goes from the Riverwalk.
I see people on riding bikes. I certainly don't have a problem with it. I
There
just,
shouldn't be a problem with riding a bicycle.
Rick, I would really rather much see an overpass, strictly because you have a big rain and that water runs there, your kid's gonna ride through there and hit some more. It's just,
I mean, you'd have to put pumps and drainage, I know.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
could be done. Overpasses is another option.
yeah.
And, I mean, there's a little more, blocks your.
And y'all, some of the things we'll do, and that's a good idea. I mean, I like the idea because back when we tried to get more money for, you know, up here, to expand on some things, the guy with the state told us, forget the circles in the park, you know, which are fine to me, but they don't do that anymore. They're trying to connect neighborhoods, connectivity where people have access.
There was grant money out there that converted old railroad beds, rails to trails grant was out there. I'm sure it's expired by now, it's years ago. But there's probably other monies out there for such, walking trails, bicycle trails. And,
That's a good, I mean,
some planning and some thought and some engineering, but I think we can connect the two entities, the riverfront and this facility out here with the top-notch, trail, you know.
okay.
Covered, paved trail, lighted, like picture park benches. The ones that Covington Mantle go through neighborhoods, they cross streets, you have to stop and yield to anybody on your bicycle.
That was hard for me to get used to when I went to Portland. They had the right of way, and you go and Kyle would tell me, "Dad, stop! You can go get a ticket." Well, what? They own bicycles, and they don't matter. They got the right of way.
That's right.
But that's a good
I'd like
idea.
to see some research into that.
And all these things, once we get a kind of a scope of them, we'll try to get estimates, you know, so we're not, you know, trying to do too much. One of the things I didn't say, but I was going to save till next Tuesday, was, you know, our safe community is important to me, and I feel like we've got a safe community, but to make it safer, I would like to see us install a system of cameras going into every access of a neighborhood, in and out, that registers and videos and captures license plate numbers to catch those people who might be coming in and think they can go in. Because y'all know we've had a little rash of people coming into our neighborhoods, and home security cameras are catching them and things of that nature. Whereas if we had these cameras, somebody at 3 o'clock in the morning is leaving that neighborhood. They got to get in and they got to get out. So if we had all those entryways covered, and I feel like it would be a deterrent, or at least help in, solving, anything in our town, and let them know that Bidet is a safe community. That's just a thought for us to do, and that could be actually a budget item. I don't know what the cost would be. Bobby is in the process of our broadband and fiber going through all town. Might be a possibility. That would be going to bed at night knowing that, hey, look, you better be careful. You come to Bidet, you better be pretty slick. So, and again, that's just strictly.
Can you enforce that?
Pardon?
Can you enforce that?
It's you're not going to enforce anything. What you're going to do is you're going to identify somebody that might be in a neighborhood at 3 o'clock in the morning from Adams County or somewhere in another parish or something. And if somebody's cars, or they had reports of burglaries, they can go back and look, and they have a suspect, because you have somebody that's from out of town or whoever it might be. They said somebody had a burglar prowler, and they said they sped off in a car. Well, you go look at your camera, there's that car leaving, and you got them captured leaving a neighborhood or going into a neighborhood. So no, it wouldn't be an enforcement. You couldn't, there's nothing to enforce. It's strictly a deterrent.
Or the litter, 'cause
Oh, litter?
We deal with litter a lot on litter.
Well, we deal with litter all over town. It's people, hey, look, but we pick it up.
I don't know if that was something that you could do and be enforceable. I don't know.
I saw, somebody borrowed your car, and they threw out, I'm gonna hit you with $1,000 littering ticket, and you didn't. I let somebody borrow my car. That wasn't me.
Right, that's why I was asking.
It's kind of,
Would it
that's
be
real.
something like a traffic camera?
That's a real ticky thing. No, this is strictly for enforcement to aid. Dusty was here. Where's Dusty? Did he leave? Guess he did. Might have got a call. But
It aids in investigation.
oh, there's Jack. Okay, Jack. Do what now?
It aids in investigation of burglaries and stuff. We've solved several burglaries throughout the town just using personal cameras from people's houses. All cameras fail. I personally have cameras on my house. I live in a small
But
place.
then what do you do once you catch them? They just let them go, so what's the point? I mean, why go to all the expense of doing that when, hey, it just proved to me last week, they just defer it, they defer the tickets, they let them walk out scot-free. Why even go to all this expense to do that when it's not the criminal that gets punished? It's the victim.
Okay. All right. Somebody else got another idea for a project? Robert?
So I have about 4.
Okay.
I have it like a 1 to 4 important, in my personal opinion. And I agree with you on that idea about saving utilities, because that's one of the number one. Can everybody hear me clearly?
I can't hear you very
I'm
well.
sorry.
Not really.
Get that man a microphone.
So I have approximately 1 to 4 ideas on projects, and it goes from 1st through 4, meaning important to least important, but it'll be a great idea to me. So one of my number one important thing was just like the mayor stated earlier about saving the cost some kind of efficient way with utilities, because that's my number one concern that most citizens in my district and out my district called me about. Is there anything we could do to save on utilities? And if we could come up with something like during those summer months when it's the hottest or whatever to save on utilities, that would be a great idea. The second thing would be curbside appeal and sidewalks that all look uniform throughout our whole city, where everybody, when you get in one part of the town, it looks all elegant. Then when you get another part of the town, it looks like who really lives here. So that's the No, that's actually my third thing. I skipped my second thing. My first thing is going to be utilities. My second thing is going to be a water pumping station in the two different parts of the city that will pump out the water during our flooding times of the year, because that's the second concern that I get mostly from the citizens throughout the city. How the water bags up and floods, and people can't even walk out of their homes. Some even have to get in little boats and park their cars further down the street. So that's the second thing. It doesn't happen until certain parts of the year. So that's why utilities would be my number one, because we always have utilities, but we don't always have flooding. My third thing would be the curbside appeal, rejuvenation of curbs appeal for those that already have it, to go and upkeeps of it, and if it's cracked or if the ground has shifted or something of that neighbor, get it back leveled off where people won't trip. Because I had one citizen who called me and we walked his whole block, and he showed me therefore where, this needed to be done. And the fourth thing, I agree with Alderman Doré also about the playground area or water/park, but safety does come first. And I think as long as it's not a pool and it's just a water pour out some type of way where water shoots out and stuff like this, and I feel like as far as safety, parents should be accompanied with that kid, and you can have signs up to say that. Or we talked about this at the last meeting outside. We were discussing this. I think it should be like a sign up where you come here and maybe see Pam or somebody to put your name saying, hey, I want the space on this day, versus me and Sabrina getting there. We're both fighting. I'm using you because I think you ain't going to get mad. But we're both fighting on, well, I want my kid. No, I want my kid to have it first. So if there's a sign up where whoever comes first and it's calendared, you shouldn't have too much of an issue. So those are my four things that I think are very, very important, with utilities being number one, because we always experience utilities. With everything we do, we have utilities.
Okay, Robert, I'd like to address a couple of those items. First thing is the pumping station. About 3 weeks ago, we had GoSelf and FEMA was here, and their people were here, their leaders, and we went all over town and we showed them the ravages that the flooding and seepage water had on our streets and our sewers and things of that nature. We went and showed them the slough area. We showed them that we need a pumping station there, because we showed them where the water lines were, because number one, we're taking the water off those relief wells that the Corps of Engineers has north and south of town, which flow all the time when the river gets, at a certain stage, and they flow. And we're not only having to get rid of that water, we're having to, it's when we do have a rain, we need that drainage, and that space is filled up with, those relief wells, and this flow out them 24/7. So that is one of the projects that we've got in there. We're hoping they will pay for. If they don't, that's one of the things I hope we can actually budget to put that pumping station in, to alleviate that problem off your district and that slough area. Also take pressure off the only city cemetery we've got, maybe keep the seepage out of there, keep that water pumped down. Also to help in the line of flooding. Let me go ahead and tell the residents now. Ken, anybody else going running for police jury in here? Okay, yeah, Cornell's running, Kenneth. Y'all know what? If you ever drive out on Logan Sewell Road, and you'll look at the little bridge you cross over, it goes over the Vidalia Canal, it's got 2 square culverts. That is the only thing that we've got draining the town of Vidalia. The right-hand side of that ditch, I promise you, is mostly stopped up with mud. When it gets down, water don't even flow out of that side. And I have made several requests, Lee and I made several requests to the state police jury, who's supposed to be over this thing, to please come clean that out, because sooner or later that's going to catch us. But we need to have that thing wide open, those 2 drains to be open, so we have a significant rain, that culvert can take its maximum flow, instead of one of them being open and another one being halfway open. That's not satisfactory to me. And if we got ourselves do it, which I hope we don't, but if we have to, we will. Well, whatever we got to do, we'll come up with something, figure something out to clean that side out. That's just a side note. I didn't mean to go there, but that's important, because that's going to affect not only you, every one of us in this room. If we get a big, heavy rain, and one of those things is halfway stopped up with mud and debris. Really?
That's a common problem throughout the whole parish. And I believe the police jury and the different municipalities can work together to solve that.
Well, we called police jury and they said, well, that's the state's bridge. And then so we get you start getting that. And although the citizens of a day give the police jury $480,000 for drainage and to maintain these courthouses. That's the people of a day do that.
Pass the buck, nothing gets done. Somebody's got to roll up the sleeve and get busy.
Right. So that's just for information there. So, okay, other projects. Let's get on. Anybody else got something else they'd like to say? Yes, sir.
You know what, Vidalia really is a city on the move, and I like that little saying. That's probably the reason why I came back here, because I saw it and I fell in love with that. And our infrastructure is part of that. Curbside appeal is also an important part of that. But truly, the definition of a city on the move has to sit back and just see what they're going to do about our young adults. And I'm not sure if there's this funds under this particular item can be utilized to do something educational wise for the youth here in Fidelia. We have an excellent library, and maybe we need. I saw something today that really touched my heart, and I was in a store in a fast food. And the young lady there had on a Vidalia Viking T-shirt. She was working. Something was wrong with the system, and honestly, she could not count my change. She had to actually do the math by pencil and paper, and that was really unbelievable to me. And as a person that was educated here locally, went to high school here locally, went to the University of Maryland, I had to have tutors in order to become a quality student. And thank God I was able to get that type of stuff. And I was wondering, is there a way that we could have some type of partnership with the school system to have a tutoring service available within the structure of the library, things like that. Other things I've noticed about our city is that we have a high rate of teen pregnancy. And it may be addressed. I've only been here 3 months. It may be being addressed in other programs. But those things, a true city on the move, have to step back and incorporate those type of things in there as well, because our future depends upon the quality of students that we have in our school system today, and as well as their education and their well-being.
I think that's a good point. My personal feeling on that is, you're right. A lot of these things are true, and illiteracy in our town, I can't talk, is a problem, an issue with some of our kids, and it's prevalent with a lot of our adults, actually. We're in the process of getting a lot of jobs. I went and visited Denham yesterday, and they're starting to hire, and they're starting to ramp that up. And they are, that's going to be put in on the fast mode real quick. And I'm really excited about that. But, one of the things that's going to be a challenge is to get first 300 people that they want. And now they're talking about, after they get up and going, it's going to expand up maybe to 700. And that's going to be a challenge to get those workers here, to be honest with you. But to address your thing about, Robert, the other thing I was going to talk about is our ordinance states, as far as curb and gutter, let me just say this. If the city has the responsibility of weed eating all the curbs in town, you're fixing to have to hire a bunch of people to keep that thing curbed and weeded. Now, you were saying some communities, some neighborhoods, they're edged. I edge my walks. I do that. That's my responsibility. The resident that lives there, that land, even though there's an easement through there, that's like the sidewalks. A lot of people have a misconception. The sidewalk is city property. If that sidewalk's torn up, yeah, we will fix it, but it's actually the adjacent landowner's property all the way to that curb. It's his responsibility for the cutting the grass, the edging, which, and people are real bad about throwing their clippings out. We fight that every day, throwing clippings all in the street. Everybody's tired of seeing that. I am. But it's the responsibility of that landowner. We've got to put pride back into our neighborhoods. It's something I've been trying to, stress since I've been here. We need to take pride in our neighborhoods. Don't litter. Don't throw the trash out. Let's keep our yards cut and clean. We're doing better now. They've been a little lack on ordinances on the enforcement of the grass cutting this year, strictly because you can't even walk out in there and weed eat it, much less cut it because of the seepage water. So we didn't want to enforce people who, you know, you're going to tell one guy he's got to cut his grass and charge him to do it, and another one you're not. Well, this guy really can't because he would bog down to his waist if he walked out in that. So, so now it's dried up. We're starting to enforce. You'll see more people starting to cut their grass. Just let it go.
I think what he's talking about, though, correct me if I'm wrong, I think what he's talking about is adding gutters and curbs to the streets that don't
Okay.
have it. Like, I know a lot of District 2
And some of three.
and some of 3, yeah, the streets don't have, he's not talking about people edging and the
Okay.
city coming and edging. He's
Okay, I
talking
thought
about putting-
I thought that's where that was
Yeah,
going.
and
Okay.
I mean, I agree with him on that. When we do redo the streets, I think we ought to add gutters and curbs to help with that water flow to get it out of it. Am I right? Is that what you meant? Yeah.
I have no problem with it. Yeah, there's a large part of town. The fruit section doesn't have any kind of curb and gutter. And I know the drainage in there is pretty bad strictly because of, you have the drains that they're round and they're in where a ditch used to be. Because I was born and raised on Peach Street, and we had a ditch. Back in those days, we had a ditch. That's where we ramped and played crawfish and everything else. But now they're just a little brown grate that's draining all that area. And guess what? They're usually stopped up with leaves, and they get calls that our drainage is all stopped. Just because it's stopped up. And when they hear, what are people just riding around in town vehicles? They ain't doing nothing. No, they're unstopping drains. They're around before rain. If you see them out in force riding around in trucks, they're going around unstopping drains because I've actually seen people put trash cans on top of them. I've seen it all. Yeah. But anyway, no, that's a good point, Robert. That'd be something that we could certainly look at. And
I have one more too, and you and I have talked about this, and I think you agreed with this one. Like the school systems, for those of us who have children in school, if, you know, there's no school Monday for Labor Day, well, we're gonna get an automated phone call that says, just a reminder, there's no school on Monday. I would like to see that, and Wes Shirley told me it's a simple computer program. It's not, you know, it's not a real hard thing, but I would like to see the town have that to notify for, storms, for the flooding. I remember there was that time where we had the, excuse me, the situation where we may have to pull back some of the electricity during that cold freeze, so that the town can notify residents who aren't on Facebook and who aren't on social media. They can get a phone call that says, you know, this is the announcement for right now, whatever the case may be. I'd like to see that added to the list, because I think
that's a good one. I like that one.
a very small expense.
Yeah, and some of the things in it, some people wanted the sirens, you know, for tornado warnings. You know, that, I've gotten some text messages, people couldn't come, and you've mentioned this about a large flag, you know, something like Winsboro used to have, or Buck Denny used to have on the highway for town. And those are all things that, you know, are legitimate projects that we can look at doing. Again, it's going to be what the people want, and council we'll put that together, and how they want to, you know, pick, we'll do it this. But what we'll do is try to, with what your requests are, we'll take it, look at it, try to quantify it, maybe get an estimate of what that would cost, and just put them in a list, and us get together, sit down, and look at that. So.
I know he mentioned something about a tutoring program. I know there are, normally during the summer months, there are tutoring programs in place. I can say the two that I know that have in the past been over those programs have been Josephine Webster and Rose Denby. So it's not that I don't think it's available, it's whether or not the kid wants to go.
I think the points are really great. What I would like to see the town do is maybe sponsor something like that and make the space available at the IT center where the computers are, and have actual teachers come in and do that, and us somehow know to sponsor it. But to actually be, I think the school needs to be involved in it, because again, they get money to educate our kids and those teachers, and I think that we need to make sure that those things, those teachers know those kids. I know several teachers, you start talking about kids, they can name you the good ones and they can name you the bad ones. And so, are the ones that need help. And so, you know, why not just maybe sponsor something, put a little money in it to provide, you know, kids who need the help to get through summer school, to get through the next class, so they won't be socially promoted and just get behind and they never go anywhere. So those are things, but that's going to require a lot of thought. It's going to require somebody with some experience in that. I'm not an educator, You know, it's, we need us professionals on that. And I know when I'm over my head and they're going into education on a curriculum of a kid who needs help, I can tutor. I used to tutor. There wasn't a math or class. I didn't tutor for kids when I was starting work and come back to work here. I tutored a bunch. But I wouldn't want to set up a curriculum or program to do that because I think that's above my ability.
I want to go back to the education, and Robert was talking about. I can talk louder so that everybody can hear me.
Yeah, but you know what, we might not be able to hear you on the video.
That's right.
Give her a microphone. Give that girl a microphone.
Yeah, everybody that's talking and not talking into the microphone, all you're gonna hear is a mumble on this video. So just keep that in mind.
Proceed.
On the educational parts, many years ago, is that Davis Street? Red Chapel Church is. On that street, we had those those buildings, and we had tutoring by educators. And we noticed that particular year, those student grades went up 1 or 2 levels. And that was a great thing. Then all of a sudden, it disappeared. So those students were no longer able to get that extra assistance that they needed after school. I came from a city years ago where the library was open till 9 o'clock at night. It was also open on weekends. Our library closes at 5. So if a child doesn't have a computer, they have no other resources to use if they can't use a neighbor's. It's a public library. It's my opinion. It needs to be open a little bit longer. And I think that's something that we should look at. So.
And it's actually, I think there is actually a board, but Amanda Taylor is administrator of it, and she pretty much the way she runs it's going to be for till she's gone. So.
That's not the town of Adel.
And no, it's not Town of Adel. Oh, which reminds me of another possible project is a renovation of the old not the old courthouse, the visitor the senior citizen building that needs bad need of repair for a lot of our seniors go there. And the one that's right next to the Hydro building, that building there, you know what I'm talking about, right across from Our Lady of Lourdes. And that might be something else to consider, a renovation of that for our elderly. So, right.
Another thing I would like to see you look at, your office phone system.
I agree. It's horrible.
You know, when it says 1 for administration, 2 for utilities, I don't got what 3 is, and 4 is Bill Murray. Oh, Jay. Okay, and what happens when you push all those buttons and then you get a recording saying they're not available? Makes me want to go through the telephone.
I agree.
I think
I'd like to too sometimes.
that there needs, since you're working on systems, get rid of that and get something that's functional.
I agree with you. I don't think Bobby's he.
I don't know what to tell you. If you want, wait a minute.
It doesn't work.
Actually, it does work.
I agree, a person should be answering the phone.
If y'all want to have somebody answer the phone, I can take the ARU away. I was told to put an ARU in place, and the ARU does work. 1 is for the administration.
2 is for utilities. 3 is for J, whatever.
No. You're getting off, once you hit 1 for administration, then you have 1 for the mayor's office, 2 for Bill Murray, 3 for Jay LaShawn, 4 for Deborah Moak, 5 for Jennifer Parker, and I don't remember who the last one is.
I can get the Pope faster than I can get somebody in the utility office.
All I'm saying,
I agree.
I'm not going to argue with you about an ARU. I don't think ARUs are the most user-friendly way to answer a phone.
You would be
agree.
correct.
But the thing about that is if you have multiple people calling, you're still gonna have that one person answering the phone. You may not get an instant
Well,
answer.
you're not getting an instant answer.
And when you say,
This-
I push this button, and after I pushed all these buttons, then I get an answer telling me there's nobody there. If they answer the phone and say, well, let me transfer him to you, if he's not there, he's still not gonna be there.
Well, there's pros and cons. Look, we could talk
Yeah,
about our
I mean,
phone
it's-
system. It's not the best in the world. Yeah, it's not the worst, but it's not the best.
I want to say something on that. I worked for the state of Louisiana. I had 250 families in my caseload, which meant my phone rang the whole 10 hours I was there. Whether I was at lunch, whether I was in the bathroom, whatever.
Yeah.
But it rang to my desk. And if I didn't pick it up, it said that you have reached, and please leave a message, leave your name, your phone number, and I will call you back as soon as possible. And it was a rule that before I left that desk at the end of the day, I had to return every one of those messages. And I had to log those into all those case records that I did return those calls. So if I can do it, and I'm just one person, we can get somebody to answer the telephone.
Okay, any other projects? Anybody, this is what we, yeah,
I've
Dane?
got a question.
I mean Debbie.
It's bothered me as long as I've just about lived here.
Okay.
We want to keep our city beautiful. When you go through town beside Easterlin's Music, that building on the corner, that's got all the broken windows, who owns that?
That has been on the blight.
And why
and-
haven't we done something about it? I mean, that is terrible.
I'm fixing to tell you what we've, a lot of the blights y'all have seen disappear in town. They're disappearing. We're getting them. There's a process to doing it, and Debbie, and what we found out was on that particular building, it's kind of unique is the actual person who owns the land, it's a complicated family deal that everybody's got to have service, but the building is actually owned by the police jury, and they have already been told to tear it down. However, they're not wanting to tear it down. They want us to, they got equipment to do it. That's another thing I'll say. We'll haul it off. Lee will tell you, look, y'all, police jury come in, tear that building down. We'll haul it off for you. Just put it on the side of the road. We'll do it for you. Y'all got the equipment, backhoes and whatever to push it over into a pile where we can get to it. It needs to be tore down. And look, it's been on the list. We're doing the things legally to get it done. I can just tell you that.
But I mean, it makes our town look horrible.
And those, I agree. Look, and we finally got the red barn down, and we hauled that off.
Yeah.
And it's just over by the tire store. But a lot of the blights in our neighborhoods have disappeared. You might not know it, but a lot of people, I can start naming, but that has to be done legally before you do that. There has to be notifications.
Right at the red light, all you can see is that building.
I agree. Hey, look, I don't think anybody in here don't want that building gone.
There's a house over there on the corner of Simonton and Miranda. That is a disgrace.
That's the Booth
That's-
boy. Yeah,
okay.
that's bad.
All right, that's but anyway, yeah, that's to be a blighted property deal. That wouldn't be a project. Anybody got another project? And it's been an hour, and if anybody has any questions after this you'd like to talk to me about, I'll be glad to stay as long as you like. We'll talk. But I appreciate your input. We'll be formulating a list, trying to get estimates of what we feel like it'd be. Some of these things we can't get an estimate till we see the scope of the size of some of these things, the playground and so forth. But this is good stuff to have. This is a good discussion to have. So we are moving forward. We are and one of the things I want to clarify about the city on the move. Years ago, when the city was actually moved physically, you see all the pictures, the city was actually moved. That became the slogan for the town, city on the move. And so that's a slogan that stuck. Everybody says it. Legally, right now, we're not a city. We're a town. We have 4,200 people. It takes 5,000 residents, your previous census, to be registered as a city. And so a city on the move, we keep that slogan. We put it on stuff. They don't want us to, but we're going to kind of do that anyway because it is a slogan for the town.
I do have one more idea, is their children. And right now here in Concordia Parish, we do have clean water. You'd be surprised to know, or you might not be surprised to know, that when LDEQ released their yearly list of impaired waterways, there's very little in Concordia Parish. Our waterways are good, our air is good, our soil is good. And I think we could definitely expand on that and market that. And we could do things like, you know, invest in solar energy or, I mean, I don't know. I know we're already doing with hydroelectric. And we could continue that trend. We could be more green. We could, you know, help our citizens maybe with solar energy to reduce the cost of utilities for our citizens. So that's just another thing I'm throwing out there.
Cassandra?
I would like to see the recycling come back. It's really a shame that we throw away so much.
I can, that was cut out. That had nothing to do with a decision by Vidalia. That was the people who actually handled it. It got to be where they were losing money on doing the recycling. And as far as trying to tackle that endeavor as a town on its own, I agree, you know, a lot of us like to recycle or would recycle, but, you know, those companies that handled that and did something with that waste, they said, we're not doing it no more. And
But you got to look at how much damage we're doing to the environment. We talk about our drainage problem. It's bad enough to have all that mud in there, but when not only do you have mud, you have bottles and you have plastic. Then how much floats over into the Mississippi?
That's a litter problem.
Yeah, but we need to have a better litter enforcement. Then we need to work on that.
I mean, recycling's only gonna work if you put the recycling in the bin.
You're gonna have to have the private company actually handle that. I mean, you know, we have the cans. Anybody wants them, you know, we'll do it, but you don't have nowhere to take it. And the town, you know, right now would have nowhere. I mean, the only option would be a pretty long trek with it. It'd be very expensive endeavor. I can promise you, there's people walking the streets that's gonna pick up them aluminum cans, I think. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. So this is my first meeting.
Okay, good.
I come because I do own the daycare in town, Noah's Ark. My question is, this being a project meeting, I am for the playground, splash pad, just something, because I do have young kids. I live here. Let's just say something more important comes up versus the playground. I know this isn't the first meeting a playground's been talked about. Is there gonna be a chance that something more important bumps this playground idea out of the way?
I think once we establish how the people, you know, we'll actually take votes on it. And whatever we feel like is the highest priority and need that, you know, actually helps the most people, and we'll do that. I'm all game. Look, we're following the marching orders of this ordinance. And, you know, how that's going to come. Honestly, these meetings have never been held in this town. Never, ever.
I mean, there were several people that stated on Facebook, oh, I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna set a reminder, and I see a few of us.
But what I'm saying is these meetings have never, so we're setting, you know, we're going to have hydro meetings every year. When I'm not mayor anymore, these meetings need to continue. These public meetings need to continue because that's your money. This is money. Look, I don't want to start going back to the previous administration. There's been a lot of money spent, and they didn't ever have these meetings.
Right.
And that's the public money that should have been spent, and people should have had a say in how that was spent.
So how does the process run with this, kind of to expand upon what she said? So we'll have another meeting next Tuesday where we'll get more ideas and follow up on these, and then the board will actually vote on the projects, correct?
And I would think that we need to, we were all at the Square on Carter meetings where it was full house and everybody was against the Square on Carter, maybe for a few were for it. And it was overwhelmingly everybody against it. But yet after it was over with, the council went ahead and said, let's go ahead and do it. You know, and everybody's going, wait a minute, y'all didn't listen to us. And nobody in here wanted that. That's not going to be the way this is. I mean, what the people want is going to carry a lot of weight. And, you know, and I feel like the council should have the last say on the spending of the money, but I would be very, very cautious if I were them to if somebody, playground's number one on the list, and I know that's probably on you, for them to say, no, I want this, and, and I'm just gonna be neutral, because I'm gonna just make it come to fruition, whatever they wanna do. So.
But what I mean is, like, if we say, for example, let's say the electric thing, just so I'm not thinking that my own is gonna win. If we say the electric thing is what everybody votes for, the people in the audience. So do we, then the Board of Aldermen will say, okay, we're gonna allocate X amount of dollars for this project. If we do not utilize that money by the end of the fiscal year, does the money retained in that project to be used the next fiscal year?
I think it needs to be, look, I think it needs to be addressed every year. For example, if we do this year, as far as that, if they want to do all those months, my proposal is only going to spend about $340 to $350 of that money. There's $1 million in there, so there's more money left to do a playground. There's more money to do, other things. So what I'm saying is, prioritize them. I just thought that this is something we can immediately give people when they're hurting. That if they can't pay their bill, they could care less about going to a playground. They could care less about going to play baseball or going fishing, hunting. If they can't pay their utility bill, this will be almost like giving them another rebate. In addition to, it's not going to come off the amount of money you're going to get. This is going to be in addition to another saving, which to me is going to be about $120.
But I think our question was, let's say there's 6 things on the list, and everybody agrees we're going to do that. We allocate the money this year. If the project isn't built this year, is the money still allocated?
The
till
next
it's
year,
done?
okay, I see what you're saying. I would say so. I would hope we could do something to fruition with it, the things that we have, and then the next year you'd have that, and it would step up to be that number one thing the next year. That's just my thinking in my head, so that you wouldn't, you want to do things you can complete that money with, and maybe even keep a little bit of reserve. But the next year, those other things that people showed up wanting, they got taken care of. Well, that's going to bump up. That'll be the next thing on the list to be done. So I would think it might take a year or two to get it, but.
The only reason I say that is if you're, I like the idea of putting some of the money towards the electric bill. I really do. But if we're talking about doing it June, July, August, September, they're gone. So.
Right, this would be for the
For the
next year.
next fiscal
This
year.
would be for the next
Yeah.
fiscal year.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. The money's not gonna
So,
go away at the end
so,
of the fiscal year.
so what I'm saying though, but see, the next fiscal year, you're gonna be July, August, September. You could go ahead and take, next June, take that 85,000, go ahead and set it aside
Yeah.
for when June comes. You can go ahead and have it available, and then so that would leave really 900,000 this year for these other deals. Because the next year, we would just go ahead and put in a budget to pay those out of our hydro royalties.
So really, you could do both things, like,
Yeah.
I say a park or, and what, you could do both what Robert and Sabrina suggested.
It doesn't have to be a limitation on just one project. It could
Right.
possibly be 2, with maybe even squeezing a third one in.
Okay.
I just think on the pumping station, if we can get the government to pay for it, let's do that. Let's go take our.
Yeah, right.
But we should be hearing from that any day to see what they're gonna pay and what they're not gonna pay. And if they're gonna pay a certain amount, if you're gonna have a match in it, and what that, now, for example, if there's a match out there we have to make, maybe we can take some of these funds to make that match, to make it come to fruition and do that project. Because those people do need help, and there's no doubt. And we also need our ditches opened up, clean, bad. Really do. Anybody else got another project before we, call it a night? I do want to appreciate, I really do appreciate y'all coming tonight. Come back next Tuesday. Share some new ideas, bring some new ideas. Talk to your friends. There's a lot of things that haven't been brought up and that you'll think of when you get home, go, that's how I am. I get home and quit laying in bed, I start, why didn't I say that? Anyway, would love to have anybody, you don't have to come to the meeting to tell us, call me, if you can't make a meeting, and we'll put your idea down. Jamie would like to see us, and I agree with him. His son has lethal diesel over here right across from our complex. And it's dangerous. When you come off an exit coming out of our ponds, it's really dangerous to get on the highway because it's a median there that's grass. It's not like a turning lane that goes all the way through our town. It needs to be a turning lane all the way through there because somebody's going to get killed because it's not enough to hold a car. You're either in the road on this side or on the other side, and it's dangerous.
Is that a state project though?
Well, I'm going to try to see if the state will make that a turning lane all the way through